Let's get a White House response now from the President's top economic advisor, Larry Kudlow. Larry, thank you for joining us this morning. Let me just give you a chance first to respond to Senator Schumer. You saw him right there say that the president's proposals are paltry, weak, narrow, unworkable.
Well, look, I think that provides significant economic assistance, even though the numbers are coming in very strong. A good jobs number on Friday, declining unemployment. We've created over 9 million jobs in 3 months. That's a record. But there's still a lot of hardship out there. There's a lot of heartbreak out there. And the point that President Trump made yesterday is that on several occasions, we tried to get, for example, a compromise deal on the unemployment assistance, which ran out, the federal unemployment assistance. That's a key point. A second key point was the eviction moratorium. Because the Democrats rejected various compromises, at least twice, to my knowledge, President felt he had to take action, and it will be timely action, and it will be temporary action, to be sure, probably mostly out to the end of this year. But let's help those who still need help.
But Larry, in fact, the president doesn't extend
great progress, but we had to take action.
In fact, the president doesn't extend the federal eviction moratorium. I looked at the executive order. It doesn't do that. It simply directs HUD to find a way to help people and identify federal funds. It doesn't include extending the eviction moratorium.
Well, look, that's not entirely true. I mean, in there.
Well, it is true.
Secretary of Health, if any determination is made that there's a health threat of community spread due to evictions or forbearance due to coming on top of evictions, that they would take action. So that's clear, and I think that's exactly what the health secretary is going to do. We also are going to be working through other agencies to spend some money for example, rental assistance. And federally backed housing, whether it's single family or multifamily, if there's any forbearance or if landlords make a request, then there will be no eviction during that process. So it just says there's going to be a review. I can tell you, George, the intent of that is that the review will prevent any evictions. We've been fortunate so far, but this is a guardrail, and it will work out beautifully.
Okay, I understand that. You say that's the intent. Just to clarify, because I'm reading page 3 of it right here, it says such action may include encouraging and providing assistance to public housing authorities, affordable housing owners, landlords, and recipients of federal grant funds, and minimizing evictions and foreclosures. It doesn't talk about it extending the moratorium. But I want to move on to some other issues as well, because especially on this proposal to extend the unemployment insurance benefits, $300 federal contribution, $100 from the states under a new program. You heard Senator Schumer there say the states won't be able to get this up and running in time, and you're going to have a huge delay in getting this money to people, even if it is implemented.
Well, look, I don't think there'll be a huge delay. Labor Department has been working with the states. The states are the ones that process the federal benefits before. So I don't see any reason why it'd be all that difficult. Most of their systems have been upgraded, but Labor Department will be deeply involved in helping them out. I mean, in terms of delays, what good is a delay of the legislation if you don't think you can process anything? We should have gotten this done weeks ago. Now, we will take 75% of the cost share, so that if states put up another $100 from $350 or $400, which is their average across the country, then you'll have essentially $300 to $400 plus another $300 to $400. Really, if the states are generous, that could be an $800 unemployment assistance per week out to the end of the year. I think that's a compromise view. We tried to get that through a couple times, and we were not able to compromise. So the president's gone ahead and done it himself. I think he's going to help a lot of people. That plus the payroll tax and some other things.
Well, on the payroll tax deferral, again, it's not a tax cut, it's a tax deferral. Senator Schumer says that he's talked to a lot of employers who say they simply will continue to withhold the money because they don't want to be on the hook for it later on. It's also not going to do anything for people unemployed right now. It can only help those who actually have jobs. And finally, even some Republicans are weighing in. Senator Ben Sasse says it's unconstitutional slop. The president doesn't have the power to unilaterally rewrite the payroll tax law.
Well, okay, I appreciate those things. Maybe we're going to go to court on them. We're going to go ahead with our actions anyway. Our counsel's office the Treasury Department believes it has the authority to temporarily suspend tax collections. So we're banking on that. We've had also a repurposing of funds, George. That was decided in our favor in the Supreme Court case regarding the Mexican wall a while back. So we think we can do it. I do think the president, and it's in the executive order, would like very much to make the deferral a permanent deferral. In other words, he will essentially let it go in future months rather than a payback. So it'll be, loan forgiveness, in effect. That's what this really is. It's loan forgiveness. And I think businesses will come on. One point, you're right. There are many more people working than not working. That's a good thing. But there are roughly 140 million people who are working. There are roughly 15 or 16 million unemployed. The unemployed is too high. There's a lot of heartbreak there. That's why we want to help them with the unemployment assistance. But the 140 million some odd, they're going to get a gigantic wage increase, probably $1,200 between September 1st and December 31st. And again, we will do everything we can to forgive those loans. So I think that's an incentive to work for those who are heroes during the pandemic, and also for the unemployed. It gives them an incentive to come back to work so we can offset some of the excesses of unemployment assistance.
You just said this could face legal challenges. It seems pretty clear that that's going to happen. You see right now that the Democrats are also saying that you're not doing enough on testing. You're not doing enough to help schools, state and local governments. Why not go back to the negotiating table and get this done? Isn't that the quickest and easiest route to guarantee relief?
Well, I don't think, and the president has said, we can go back to the negotiating table. We've not said no to that.
Well, except his team walked away.
Secretary Mnuchin. Well, look, Secretary Mnuchin and Chief Meadows, Mark Meadows, have been up there laboriously every single day for long periods of time. We provide as much staff and policy support as we can behind the scenes to back it up. We have proposed a large school assistance for COVID. We want kids to go back to school. We put $105 billion on the board, and the Democrats rejected it. We actually exceeded their original, was $100 billion. Across the board, we've done all these things. I listened to what Senator Schumer was saying. We have massive testing program. We're testing virtually 1 million people per day. I think something like 60 or 65 million total tests, by far the largest in the world. And thankfully, by the way, with the distancing and with the masking and with the hygiene and with the testing where applicable, we've seen now the mitigation is working and the curves are flattening out in Texas and California and Florida. That's a real good thing. We put these things, look, here, can I just raise, I don't want to get overly political, but for heaven's sakes, the president said yesterday correctly, 1/3 of the Democratic proposals had absolutely nothing to do with COVID. They're talking about harvesting mail-in votes themselves, no signatures, no ID, sending assistance to illegal aliens, letting felons out of jail. I mean, it's a really a very liberal left Democratic wish list that had nothing to do with COVID. If they had removed that stuff, we probably would have better grounds on which to negotiate.
Well, Larry, as you know, we could go back and forth on that. Democrats have complained, for example, that the president wanted to put funds for building an FBI building in downtown Washington in a way that some critics said would help his hotel. But I'd want to move on because you made that point about COVID and the mitigation right now. The Washington Post is reporting this morning that an internal model by the President's Council on Economic Advisors predicts, quote, a looming disaster with the number of infections projected to rise later in August and into September and October in the Midwest and elsewhere. Have you seen this analysis? How worried are you?
I have not, George. I have not seen that analysis, and all my discussions with my colleagues at CEA, I've not heard anything about that. As I say, we're actually having gone through a very tough period as the virus spread to the South and West. Looks like we're making pretty good progress. Am I worried in general? Yes, I'm always worried in general. things have happened here that no one expected to happen exponentially. And sure, we are constantly concerned. We've sent our CDC people. Ambassador Deborah Birx has sent whole teams down. She's gone down to look on-site inspections of the areas where the hotspots are the worst, emphasizing again our guidelines. Fauci has done the same thing. Stephen Hahn has done the same thing. Vice President Pence has been all over it, and the president has been monitoring it and is now reporting to the nation each evening on a daily basis. So sure, we're always worried, but I haven't seen that kind of apocalypse now scenario. I guess in this game, you can't rule anything in, you can't rule anything out. I understand that, but no, I'm not aware of any such scenario coming from the CEA.
Larry Kudlow, thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you, George.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.